Hey Taylor, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm okay, far as I know. All your holiday planning going well?
Yep, we launch our Christmas stuff next week.
All right. How do you do that? Do you have like an event or just an email? How do you do that?
We put it like we make the items go live on our website, and we usually do some stuff on like social media. Um, it's mainly social media, and of course, we send out an email. But we see the most engagement when we do social media interaction.
Yeah, yeah. I saw your recipe, or I didn't watch the whole thing, but I saw it the other day. It came up on my social media feed. I thought that was pretty cool.
Recipe time. So it's like our best performing thing that we do.
It's interesting. When you say best performing, is it the most visits or likes, or how do you characterize that?
The most people interact with it, and we see a lot of website clicks too. The most website clicks come from if when we launch a new product and we share it on social media, we get a lot of website clicks from that.
Huh. Very cool. In some respects, to me, I find it very interesting that we basically all have our own um, TV channel, although it's not accurately called a TV channel, but it's essentially the ability to communicate with a large number of people um, that that we can that can see us if we want. As far as producing the content and how you go about it is something that I think we need more help with how to do it effectively.
Yeah, one thing that I've been trying to do, even the past like couple of weeks, I've been like working on like a marketing plan and like actually trying to be strategic with how we do things. Because before it was just kind of like because I was working on the operation and I was coming out with new products and doing a lot of different jobs, and marketing was kind of an afterthought. Like
Yeah.
just like we have this picture, I'll put it up, or this sold a lot today, so I'll post this. But now we actually kind of have a strategy behind it, and I'm excited to see once we implement it what happens.
Do you use any kind of scheduling tool for social media, like any like Buffer or any of the other tools?
I use Loomly, Loomly.
Okay.
I just started using it though, because before I had this thing called Plan with two ends, and it only scheduled things to Instagram and Facebook, but Loomly will schedule things to almost like every social media platform we use, and it'll post automatically in my Facebook groups, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Facebook groups are a really big way that businesses like ours connect with their audience. So I'm hoping that us investing more time there will yield some results. But
Do
it's just
you
it's still. But
actively search out Facebook groups that you want to be part of?
oh no, I have a Facebook group called Simple and Sentimental Insiders.
I see.
Yeah, and but the thing about Facebook groups is that you have to give people a reason to want to stay in it, and just posting about products all the time is not a good enough reason. So we're trying to get creative with like today is meme Monday, so like in our Facebook group, we'll post like a meme that we think is funny, and then ask people to like share other ones that they think are funny in the comments. Just like little things like that that like may not directly tie back to simple and sentimental, but we have like this overarching theme of creating moments. So laughing about something funny is creating a moment. Um,
Sure.
so
Well,
and just creating value.
the other day with uh, Warren talking about Google and how they go about giving you, I think he used the thing quality score, if
Yeah.
that's right. And that all that kind of stuff that you're describing really plays in to the way Google looks at ranking you and what your ultimate cost to advertise is. I found that to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I want to start being more intentional about is reaching out to blogs and getting us featured, um, because like having a website that has a like score of like even a 50 quality score would make a big difference for us. I don't even remember exactly what our quality score is, but it's like I want to say it was like 13 when we started, but we've been like measuring it and it's been increasing like whenever we get featured by a news article or anything like that. But the next step is to start submitting articles to websites with better rankings and better quality scores. So that way Google identifies us with them and we start showing up higher in search feeds.
That makes sense. Do you see any opportunity to take over websites or Facebook's social media like the Miller School or other things at ECU? Do you see any opportunity there?
I mean, like the thing that matters for SEO is like posting a blog on a website that has a good reputation. Like anything .edu is usually pretty well trusted by Google. So like if ECU posts a blog post and they link back to Simple and Sentimental, our quality score goes up. Where like Facebook and Instagram don't really do that.
Yeah,
Or at least it's not quite the same. So the trick is to find, like for us, it's finding wedding blogs, people who blog about events. But the thing is, you have to make sure their quality score is actually good because, like, they could have a million Instagram followers, but then their blog could have a quality score of 10. So, like,
yeah,
yeah, it'd be smart for you to get them to post about you on their Instagram, but maybe not writing a blog. Like that probably wouldn't help in that regard.
yeah. Where do you get the quality score? Is that a Google feature?
You don't have to ask Warren. He sends us like how to get it for free because he sends us a report that tells us what our quality score is.
I
But I
gotcha.
guarantee you could probably find it for free. But he sends us like a detailed report with like a lot of information, and that's just like one part of the report is what our quality
I
score is.
gotcha. I gotcha. Huh. Do you use Warren for Facebook ads also?
No, I use a different company for Facebook ads.
Okay.
He doesn't do Facebook ads, as far as I know.
I didn't think you did. I was just curious. I hadn't really. It seems like he strikes me as somebody who is very quiet and almost inscrutable. You know, his face. I told somebody he'd be a great poker player. His face just stays blank. Although he did smile toward the end of the presentation, which made me feel good.
Yeah. I mean, we're friends with him personally. He goes to our church, and he's a really sweet guy. But what I appreciate about him is that he's never tried to like sell us really hard on something. Like you can really tell that he genuinely cares about your business doing well, and it's not just
Yeah,
I want to make money off of you kind of thing. So
yeah, yeah. Well, that's an attitude that will hold him in good stead over time because
yeah,
if you're constantly trying to jam somebody, it just gets old. And
oh yeah,
you all know that. I don't have to tell you that. That's for sure. Well, I guess we'll get started. I'm not quite sure where everyone is today, but I see Holly's on here, and let's see who else is here today. Let's take a look. Okay, Sawyer, Pete. Hi, Pete. I saw you guys are getting a lot of publicity about events. I saw that Marcus is being a speaker at an industry event coming up October 23rd.
He is. Yep. He's doing a lot. So it's starting to get some good traction. Hopefully we'll get
Fantastic.
some
How do you get
quality
those
score.
opportunities? How do they come along?
A lot of it's just hard work and it's a lot of it's Marcus is really just going out and talking to people. And a lot of it's been people coming to us, like from that riot accelerator we were in, and just through that, people have heard of us. The NC idea, winning that helped a lot. So people will contact us. And otherwise just going out and talking to, kind of putting the legs out and seeing what's going on.
Fantastic. Well, I think it's also important that you have the capacity to do it, right? That if you're not swamped with other stuff, to make a priority to reach out and take opportunities to speak. Luckily, a lot of them are virtual at this point, so there's not quite the the travel and the hassle and the variety of things that traditionally go around that sort of thing. So have you
That's right.
guys hired a public relations firm, or do you guys do all this yourself?
We do it all ourselves. I mean, it's all in-house right now. We really haven't hired anybody. We do some LinkedIn drip campaigns where we hired some people to do that. But otherwise, I mean, even for the Republic raise that we're about to start, all the videos and everything were done in-house. Marcus is really good at that. He's been doing it for a long time. And so, so we've done it all in-house. And all this kind of builds into this investment that you're going to talk about too. And just, any kind of exposure we get and people are seeing us helps the investors and, reaches new investors for us.
Yeah. Well, I encourage you guys to, maybe if you need some time in this class when you are ready to do that pitch, I think everyone would benefit from what you're doing and how you're going about it. So if you're comfortable, maybe you or Marcus could come on here and give the pitch when you're ready.
Yeah, great. I'd love to.
Yeah, I think that'd be helpful. How you doing, Sawyer? Doing good?
Yeah, I'm doing well. No complaints on my end.
Oh, fantastic.
Pretty solid weekend on the e-commerce side of things.
Oh, good. You saw some good revenue?
Yeah, I did some slight tweaks to my website and, some solid conversions over the weekend.
Fantastic. Congratulations. That's great. Hey, Holly, how are you today?
I'm pretty good. How about yourself, sir?
I'm doing good. Okay, well, I'm gonna talk about raising capital, and many of you are experienced with this already. But what I decided to do was one of my favorites is a guy named Gary Vee. Some of you may be familiar with him. So we're gonna have a short video from him talking about raising money. And then when that's done, we're going to talk a little bit about what's on any of your all's mind. I know that in Peter Seymour's case and Marcus and Shift Auto, they're moving forward on a crowdfunding thing. And some of you may be also looking at different ways. So, well, after this video, we'll chat about the different options, and I'll share what I know about so maybe a few little opportunities they may not be aware of before. So hang on, we'll try this again, try this share screen thing, and hopefully I'll do it correctly this time. Brady's not here today to keep me straight, so hopefully it'll work out. All right, and okay.
I'm starting my vlog today solo, 8:58 in the morning. Had something cancel, so me and Iris are on different schedules. Pulling up to the office. Good day. Got Nightline following me around today, so I'm excited about that. So some of your grandparents and parents are going to check that out on the television. You'll see that online. I'll chop it up. Super excited. All great stuff. Focused VaynerMedia. Just the whole VaynerX family, Pure Wow. All that is going extremely well. Tons of strategies for 2018 being implemented. Super excited for Asian 2021, our first owned and operated conference in Miami next week. That should be great. And obviously the book is right upon us. Obviously super excited about crushing it. It's doing extremely well in sales, which I appreciate. YouTube. If you have not pre-ordered it, now is the time. Don't break my heart. What a lot of people don't understand about raising capital is you just need somebody to say yes. It's not about, here's how you do it. There's 7 people running around right now that love coffee and tattoo and is a tattoo artist whose grandfather left him or her $1 million and they're trying to figure out where to spend it. those people exist. Like, you're not gonna go to Silicon, like, well, the reason everyone's losing is they wanna go to Silicon Valley and talk to bankers and math kids, and they run you through the ringer, and it's a waste of time. You need to go find entrepreneurial money who believe in you. You need to go find somebody who sold their agency and has $12 million now and is looking to do something and is like, oh, I understand Mike, and I love skateboarding and tattoos, and I love, do you understand? Like, so I'm giving you a piece of advice that people are just not understanding. That's the game. Like, you don't go to somebody who's gonna say no. And that's what every creative, entrepreneur is doing right now, and it's a complete waste of time. Raising capital, it's, so many of you have gotten caught in this bullshit venture capital and banking world. When you need money, you gotta be willing to get it in any shape or form, as long as it's clean money, and as long as the person you're getting from isn't going to put you emotionally in a bad place, right? You don't wanna get money from your aunt who's then gonna text you 15 times a day and say, I hate, you suck. Like, that brings in too much family dynamics. But nonetheless, what I mean by that is everybody's trying to fit into the mold of how to sell to a venture capitalist when that's like a moonshot, instead of trying to find high net worth individuals who believe in your vision. Like, I've never I've written millions of dollars in checks through my career, and it's never been because of the math, and then other people have never written a check that hasn't been about the math, and neither is right or wrong. It's about styles. And so but too many of you have no chance of getting a Silicon Valley venture capital firm to write you a check. And all you do is you sit and you make excuses. I didn't go to a good college, or I don't look the part, or they don't invest in minorities, or whatever you may come up with, instead of going to who will give you money. Find who will give you money. High net worth individuals who are creative and open-minded. Find them.
Stop. Did you know every time you shop on Amazon, you're helping someone make passive income?
I'm super okay.
Because Iris is great at that stuff, and then you've got dedicated time to speak with Rebecca Jarvis.
Looking forward to it.
In this office later
Looking forward to it.
Cool. Hey.
Let's do it. So these ladies flew from Australia.
Thank you.
For you.
Thank you.
For you. Well, what kind of teenager were you?
I was a great teenager. My mom, I'm writing a book called Perfectly Parented, so it's interesting to hear what you guys...
Wow, this is awesome.
So I'm writing a book called Perfectly Parented, and it's the perspective of a kid who feels his parents perfectly parented him. My mom and dad, so I never did I did nothing wrong except get bad grades. So I never disrespected anybody. I never did cliche drugs and alcohol stuff. I was the nicest kid. I was friends with everybody in my high school. I worked every minute. I went to like 7 high school parties in my life. I just worked. I like helped around the house because I was the oldest. I was a ridiculously good kid, yet I wasn't like a square, or meaning I had fun, I enjoyed it. Like my high school years were very simple. I worked every minute, which was the happiest moments of my time, whether it was doing baseball card shows, selling at flea markets, or working in my dad's liquor store, or I was in school being miserable. I didn't play sports. I played tennis for 2 years, but I barely played sports. I didn't chase girls for the most part. Like, I just was very focused on being an entrepreneur from a very young age, and I was obsessed with not making my mom upset.
I love that. A lot of teenagers, seeing as I'm a mum,
yeah.
I
It's just true. Like, my mom guilted me into being a great child and a great teenager, and I think that's what I do to my employees.
How? Yeah.
By providing so much love and support that the fear is letting them down. Guilting. Iris was gonna leave after working for a year. That was her plan, that was her thoughts, but she's still here because it's better to be here than it's not to be here.
Well, a lot of teenagers actually disconnect from their parents.
Because their parents are screwing up. Their parents are doing the wrong thing. Their parents care about themselves, not their kids. Parents are struggling out there because they're insecure and they're parenting their children based on the judgment of other parents, not based on putting their kids in this position to succeed. I understand that. Get me on the phone with them for 5 minutes.
The gap between the rich and the poor is getting wider and wider, but that doesn't only apply to billionaires. You see,
I gotta figure it out. Anyway, so we started, basically like a digital agency.
Yep. When was that?
This is like middle of 2016.
Okay.
And it was just straight to the fire.
Yep.
And I had no problem with that. Like that's where I think I thrive. Took us a little bit of time to figure out what our
Niche
was, and then once we figured that out, and it's been a really, it's been incredible. Like I have, we have a team of 6, like co-work space in the city. It's typical stuff, trying to make it happen with with what we can. And I guess one of the main things that I'm running up against now is like I need to scale. I need a couple more people. I need to be able to do certain things that I'm doing.
There are only 2 ways to do that. It's a chicken and egg game. You either go out and get enough business that allows you to afford it, or you convince people to work for you for free because you're a good enough guy that when you can make it whole, you will.
Okay, that makes sense.
But there's a ton of 22-year-old you and me, and Boyds, and Irises. There's a lot of them. There's just a lot of kids who are 22 who want to fuck with you. You just have to create the net. So you have to start, people are scared to ask for people to work for free, but you have to find 2 people who are worth a year that are willing to work for $14 an hour. Because you might have to pay minimum wage. I don't know what the rules are.
Yeah, I'm for sure scared to ask people to work for free.
Here's why. Let me tell, I know. Let me tell you the secret of why I fuck with it.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to pay them back more. And I know I'm capable of. And I know that if I wasn't capable of, I would die to the end. Yeah. Like if this went bankrupt because there was fraud going on and I owed a lot of $6 of them, well, that's what I would work on until I would start up again. The biggest reason people are scared to ask people to work for free is they think it's doing the wrong thing, and I think it's doing the right thing. There's a lot of street kids who are not going to NYU, who are going to a community college that no agency wants to hire because they're hiring from better schools, who you'll fuck with, and they'll fuck with you. Okay. You might have to kiss some frogs. Right. When you get free, you get what you pay for sometimes.
Been there, yeah.
But I spoke for free. I do stuff for free. I'm doing stuff for free constantly. I'm doing this meeting. The fuck is this meeting for me?
That's what I'm wondering too.
Well,
I get it.
This is my version of working for free. Like people, when I talk about working for free, people love to come out and fucking kill me. I know what you guys are thinking. They're just not as smart. There's 2 people on earth right now who can be a designer or an account person or a media planner or whatever the fuck you do, who are willing to work for you for $15 because you told them at a pop-up salad QSR for an hour that you got them. Right. And they're gonna say, you're brown like me too. It's always the ones that look like you.
Yeah,
like kids that went to Yale and went to MBAs, they don't fuck with me.
Right, which is cool.
Until they break at 29. Right. Then they find me.
So to give you a little bit of background about myself and how I got started, I got into fitness in 2012 kind of accidentally. I was on my own journey, experiencing health problems. My journey was very much in fitness, more about the health side of things.
Yep.
And I joined Instagram to motivate myself. We were actually living in China at the time. And, being alone on that journey, that Instagram was my way to connect and communicate with people.
Especially back home, right?
Yeah. And since that was really at the beginning of Instagram, I started organically growing a page just by connecting with people. And
I know enough about your story. Like,
Oh,
I know
okay.
enough about that
Yeah.
era of Instagram
Got it. Okay,
to know that
so-
you were on that wave. I remember.
Yeah, okay, so fast forward to today. Pretty much, you know, I've built this brand kind of on accident, but it's been amazing because it's something that I'm passionate about and I'm able to connect with people on. And, you know, I launched the app December 17th, so it's been just a few weeks. And so the launch was great. My community kind of just freaked out, exploded, and they're loving it. I would just say that where we're at now is we're a pretty small team. We're a team of like 5, and the demand is like exceeding like our potential as a small team. And yeah, it's,
Well, let me give you a first big piece of advice. Try to keep less money.
Keep less money.
Of course,
Invest more in the company.
100%.
Right.
Unless you're retiring next year, the biggest mistake that people that go through what you're going through right now make is they're trying to maximize profit to buy the things that the two of you want.
yeah. Right.
So they're willing to not hire 3 more teammates and invest in the business because they want an extra vacation or a bigger bedroom or 3 more handbags. I mean, that's real. The biggest first piece of advice I would make is the following. There are, Ming, right? Min. Spell it?
MINH.
There are 7,000 Mins right now. Do you know how pumped Min is too? Do you know how many, like, you have to understand how this is all playing out. Min's a young woman, Alex, like, you know, like, Iris. There are people that are under 25, Alex is way over 25, but you are? Wow, you look great. But there's a lot of people right now, there's an unbelievable amount of talented 22 to 24 year olds who look up to you, who are willing to work for very little. You need to build out your team and take it out of your short-term pocket to create long-term success.
That
I get 40 emails a week minimally of like, I have an MBA, I've been running a business for 4 years, I've made, forget about learned, I've made more money in the last 6 months watching your vlog and listening to your podcast than I did the last 6 years with all that background. Because you have to understand, this is of the moment. The reason they're so, do you understand that all of you in this room don't realize how smart you are? Because you're in your own bubble? I mean this. You're in the forefront of something, which then means you don't understand, because then you're only surrounding yourself with other people that are doing the same thing. 99% of the people don't believe what's going on in crushing it. Like when I wrote the first one, the thought of making money on YouTube or social media was absurd. I mean, go read the first Amazon comments of my first book 9 years ago. So you've already got the mentality, now let me give you the practicality. Get 4 people on your team for the cost of what you probably allocated for 1. An enormous amount of 22-year-olds right now, and more next year because they're getting affected in teenage years, every year more. His dream job in life is to either be an influencer or work for one. That's just real.
We're excited to read the book.
Thank you. Yes, yes, enjoy.
You got presents. Yeah, that's my MBA. Right
I love it. I think you'll really like it.
Yeah.
I hope there's 1 or 2 little nuggets that can, you're so in it that it will come natural, but I really actually wrote it for people like you. Like there was like 4 to 7 things that are in there that I'm like, okay, this is the best shit I know, that I think maybe even for the people that know, they may not know.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you again.
Thank you guys, take care, bye-bye. The reason this is intriguing is that the streets will fuck with it, and so it's got bigger upside. This is why I'm gonna go to the point that I wanna make, which is, when I think about businesses like this, the biggest thing that I'm gonna give you a huge piece of recommendation, you don't wanna be at the mercy of these fucking logos. Got it?
You don't think you've got Penn State, Michigan, Indiana?
Nope.
You've got 100.
I know exactly what you're gonna say. Here's the good news. No. Here's why. You don't have the leverage. I'm gonna say it again. It's way better if you guys designed something with a logo that was yours and people started coming to you. Your patent's not gonna hold, your brand will.
Let me ask you a question. Louis Vuitton
Yes.
is not a one single product company.
It started as one.
It did, but is that what you're
Period.
saying this could be? Where we're doing more things than just the hood?
That's how it always works.
Okay.
But just, you did say.
What do you think Under Armour
should
started
do
as?
it.
What do you think Nike started as? Every brand we're about to say started as a single product company.
Your 5th business book just came out.
Yes.
It will have just come out at the time of this interview.
When people watch your video, you can make them go.
Right now I'm in talks for something dealing with TV. You know, you're having a moment. Yes, yes. And I'm trying to see where the right place is to grab it, because I love what I do. I absolutely love what I do. I love the classroom. I love working with kids. But
Do you understand that you have a moment right now and you can always go back to the classroom and maybe never have a moment like this again? Have you thought about that? Because a lot of times I think people think about selling out or changing their lives, but like what I love about being a teacher and many other things that people do, I always remind people, just do me one favor. Know what you can come back to and what you can't come back to.
you know, I definitely got a great unit, man. I mean, I couldn't ask for more.
Then you should go for it. When shit's good, you go on the offense. You're crippled by opportunity. My answer is, if you've got a good at home and she's supporting you and the little one's not gonna remember any of this anyway, then go. Take your moment.
This is the stuff that I'm telling my kids. This is, you know, fail forward. You know, like take what is there. Take this opportunity. This is what I'm.
It's easier to give advice than to take it. Which is why I think I've popped, because I think I only give advice that I already took, so nobody can call me on the vulnerability. I'm a practitioner of all my thesis.
What do you?
Casey actually, you know what? Fucking Casey. Casey Neistat's a fucking beast. What do you say? Where is he? Where is he? The name Gary Vee has become synonymous with motivating an entire generation. No one understands the power of social media better than Gary, because none of what he preaches is theory. It's an understanding born from his deep expertise in business and life. What Casey understood about me in his quote for this book is, I'm not guessing. I would have regretted if I didn't take my moment back in 2006 where I'm like, wait a minute, am I a wine merchant or am I a anthropology, like digital, like what am I?
Right.
I never knew the word, I wasn't a good student, so I didn't know all these words. They came to me later, but I failed forward, I tasted, and most of all, I just did not worry about what anybody else thought. Go do your thing.
Look, I'm ready to, man.
Just go do
really,
it.
Really serious.
Just honestly, just go very hard.
Yeah.
Say yes to everything.
Word.
Until you can't fucking breathe.
I'm ready for it, man. And you know, it's funny. This was the year I said at school, I was like, this is gonna be my year to say no, and you know, and like watch all the things that I'm accepting. But I realized, like you're saying, the more important focus is that yes, and where I'm putting those.
You know what? You know what's up? When you say yes, and you can't breathe anymore because you're saying yes to everything, the yeses are giving you more oxygen.
Yeah, yeah, it's the truth.
It's the truth.
Thank you for this.
You're
yes,
welcome.
Man.
Talk to you soon.
Can't say it enough.
Stay
Thank
well.
you so much. Peace out.
Stop. Did you know every time you shop on Amazon, you're helping someone make passive income?
The day's been fucking crazy. Straight fucking crazy. Right?
Yeah.
Even by our standards.
Okay, you ready?
John,
Do you think that there's destiny in life?
I think DNA is a big fucking deal. And I think has a whole lot to do with how things play out. And I think that there's certain people who have DNA traits that create scenarios that are easy to see from far away.
This is
I'm out of here. Iris, see ya.
Okay. All right. Everyone still there? If y'all don't mind, would you mind turning on your video so we can talk directly? There's only a handful of us today. I would appreciate it if you could do that. Thank you. Turn your sound on as well, if you don't mind, if you can. Appreciate it. Okay, appreciate it very much. So I'm going to unpack some of the things that you heard there, and some of it, from my perspective, was purposeful to try to throw a few things up that may benefit folks in this group. You know, I don't know how much you know about that guy. I'm not a huge fan of him, other than I can appreciate his energy and his optimism. But at the same time, he has some really good tips in there. So it started off with a discussion about sources of capital, okay? And I'm not sure in this group where you are with raising money. We've talked about it a little bit, but some of you have indicated that you are in the process of thinking about raising money and have issues, you know, that are important to you, whether it's maintaining control, not getting someone involved in your business that you don't want to deal with, and a number of other issues like that. But I do want to throw out some thought here. So one of the things that you have available, there is a little bit of an angel community around Greenville. So there's Mark Wadowick, who some of you may know, who is going to be visiting with us. He's one of our mentors, and he is going to be talking about venture capital at another time. But there are a number of people that are investors with him who are really the definition of high net worth individuals who might be interested in your business, even if the group per se may not be the angel group itself. But there's, I think, 20 some individuals in that fund. And I know there are other funds as well around town. So I don't know if any of you have looked into raising money from individuals who maybe they exited out of a company. You know, the guys who founded Maine Pharmaceutical, they're an example. And I'm sure there are others in the community who are entrepreneurs who did cash out, who might be interested in investing. So I just throw that out at you as something to think about, even if it's just an initial conversation. Introduce yourself. Here's who I am. Here's what we're doing. Because one of the things you'll find over time is people will get to know you, and even if they're not investors, they still might follow what you're doing or have opinions or be users of your product. I know in Taylor's case with the corporate gifts, you know, some of these folks have large corporations or access to them and might be a prospect for one thing or another that you're doing. But it's kind of a non-traditional approach. It's kind of like a combination really of you know, venture capital, which we, you know, you may have a certain attitude about that. But the point is, there are different kinds of resources out there, and you might be surprised who might be interested. And I'm happy to help any of you connect. You know, many of the mentors that we have in our group are in fact investors. They're not necessarily, you know, out there hustling for deals right now. Some are just the kind of people that I think those of you who participated with Tom Newell the other day got a sense of what he's like, and he's a pretty active investor. So I just throw that out. The other thing is, particularly for women, in this case, there is kind of a new category of financial institution that you may not be familiar with. And it's called a CDFI, which stands for Community Development Investment Fund or something like that. CDFIs are kind of, they're a federal classification, much like a bank or a savings bank or a credit union. You might be familiar with all of those kinds of institutions. CDFIs is a relatively new organization. There is a lot going on in that space, particularly for women and people of color, minorities. I'm on the board of the North Carolina Rural Center, and we just opened up a subsidiary with $40 million from Truist, the bank, which used to be BB&T. And so we're supporting a number of other CDFIs throughout the Southeast who want to lend money to folks who might otherwise have difficulty getting lending. So that whole subject, CDFIs, you may not be familiar with. Again, I can help you there. Some of you, I don't know if there's a self-help credit union in Greenville or not, but they happen to be one of the CDFIs. I don't know all their names that well, but there's a bunch of them in North Carolina and other states around here. And I think that there may be some value in talking to them. I am planning to have the CEO of one of those organizations speak to our group at some point about this whole subject, which would be helpful to you, particularly if you are uncomfortable going to a traditional bank or otherwise feel, that you just don't want to do that. So basically, what I'm talking about is individual investors who might be interested in what you're doing. Number one. Number two, organizations like the CDFIs and other kind of non-traditional lending. Another thing, crowdfunding. Peter and Marcus will be able to tell us more about that. I must admit, I'm not familiar. I mean, I'm familiar with. I've seen the GoFundMe's and the various things, but I'm no expert on it. And so I welcome Pete or you or Marcus helping us understand that. But I think the other thing that I found helpful with Gary Vee's presentation in this video is this whole idea of getting folks on your team without necessarily having to pay them top dollar. Now, I don't know how optimistic you are about your business, and he makes the point that he feels like if he hires somebody for very low pay, he's comfortable that he's going to be able to make it up to them one way or the other. And you may not have that same confidence. I don't know. But I do like the idea that there is a whole bunch of people roughly in your age group who are looking to maybe do something different than traditional. Maybe they want to, they have dreams of being an entrepreneur themselves, or they want to work for an entrepreneur. But the idea of expanding your team by having people come in on some kind of basis, whether it's free or lower price or some other combination of things, I think if you spend some time planning, whether it's a stock option plan or other type of plan that you could offer to people to get them to participate with you, you might find yourself moving faster if your team is better. You're not doing everything yourself. And even though traditionally you feel like you need a lot of capital to hire a team, that may not necessarily be the case. You might be able to participate sooner rather than later. So I thought that was really good advice. The two other things that he said that I just want to point out to you. Now, some of you, I've talked to Taylor a little bit about ECU, but ECU obviously is a big player in our community. Many of you went there, graduated from there. But there may be opportunities to do things with ECU, whether it's through social media, some kind of campaign perhaps, or other thing. And I think Vidant is another possibility. Vidant has about 5,000 employees in the area. And I actually had done a deal with them before for a winner of the Pirate, or not a winner, one of the teams in the Pirate Entrepreneurship Challenge ended up going to London on the Holt Prize. And I was able to do a deal with Vidant where they promoted, to all 5,000 employees, the fact that this group was going to London, and they were very helpful in coming up with ways to support that effort. So I think reaching out to some of these entities and organizations, and you may know them better than I do. I know Vidant and ECU are two big ones, and thinking of ways to work with them. I think it's, Gary Vee talked about leverage in his meeting with the guys who wanted to do the hoodies in the video. Leverage is, you all actually have leverage when it comes to dealing with these larger institutions, because they don't know how to do social media. They don't know how to reach your age group effectively, your demographic, your customer. So I think that putting together a pitch that says, hey, let's partner with ECU College of Business or some other subgroup as a way to promote yourself. I don't underestimate it. I think there is a fair number of people, and they all happen to be online. We know that at least about ECU, maybe not so much Vidant, but all the ECU universe, they're all online one way or the other, whether it's on campus or their home. They have to be online to function in this environment. I thought one other thing that Gary Vee said that I found to be true. So when I was younger, back in the 70s, I actually bought the very first pair of Nike running shoes. And they were actually called waffle trainers, I think was what they were called at that time. And that's literally what they looked like. They were basically some kind of nylon material with a rubber bottom that looked like a waffle iron. And that's what everyone I knew bought them. We all wore them. I don't know, I wasn't much of a runner, but everybody had these, and it truly was created by the guy who founded Nike. He literally took a waffle iron and made his first prototype of the sole by burning the waffle iron into the rubber bottom and sewing it to this cheap nylon. He had worked for ASICS in Japan, so he knew a little bit about nylon type material and running, which is very different than basketball shoes, for example. At that time, everyone I knew wore basketball shoes all the time, even when you were playing basketball. That's what we wore for casual Converse or whatever. And but this guy, figured this out, and that was their first product. And I don't know how long it was their only product. Nike, you probably could look it up, but it was a fair amount of time. It certainly wasn't a matter of months. It was a matter of years. And then they eventually started coming out with other stuff. And today, obviously, we know Nike. Nike, I think, is the 11th most valuable consumer brand in the world at this point. And another interesting thing about Nike is they do not manufacture anything they sell. Everything they do is branding and licensing, and other people actually make the products for them. So, but the point of it is that some of these brands, many of these brands, just started with one product. And some of you have more than one product already. I understand that, but the messaging and the building of a brand is really an important thing that you guys can do with where you're at. And I think Taylor is, I keep bringing her name up, but Taylor's told me about doing her recipe things on Sundays, where she gets a tremendous amount of engagement. She has other things that she does totally unrelated to selling her product, but she's building this reputation or this connection with these folks. And so I encourage all of you, to give some thought to that and how you might do that. So that's basically what's on my mind. What do you all have to say about fundraising in general, or building a team? I'd love to hear what you think.
I think fundraising is a full-time job. I mean, it's a lot, you're really going out there, and there's a lot of different ways, a lot of different methods. There's a lot of different people to reach. There's a lot of different angel funds. I think it's imperative to have somebody who really understands it. We were lucky enough to have a guy, Hal Eason, who is our CFO. And when he came on, kind of like what that guy said, he came on because he liked what we did. He liked our idea. He offered to do work for us on pro bono. And then once we got some funding, he said, okay, now I want to come on as your CFO and make you into, let's make everything, let's get your W-9, pull your 1099 employees. Let's make the ones that we think we're going to keep W-2s. Let's get the back office. Let's get the taxes right. Let's get everything right. And then we can go forward and see what other else we can get with funding. And so it was really helpful to have somebody who really knew that side of the house. And we had the kind of sales side, we had the kind of technological side, but that's such an important side. If you're gonna try to raise money to continue to work, or to enhance your product, or to try to go out and advertise and reach more people, it helped us immensely having somebody there who kind of understood those waters. And then, that being said, it's really important for us, the founders, to go out and really talk to these people at every chance we get. And we probably talked to 50 different investment firms, and a lot of them have invested, and not a lot of them, but a lot of them say they will, or come back and talk to us in a month, or so it's just, I think it's a full-time job. And I think that the video with the guy saying, well, you just need to find some millionaire who's a tattoo artist who's just got inherited $1 million and doesn't know what to do with it. I think that's a long shot. I think that just saying that, and I think that, that's that sounds really good but I don't know how often that happens. I don't know how often you're going to find somebody who's going to, invest because they don't know what to do with the money. Typically you find people who, made $1 million or inherited $1 million. In my opinion, a lot of times they're not going out looking at, investing in something that they're not sure about. Again, that's just my 2 cents, and maybe I'm wrong on that part. Maybe there are people out there looking to do that, but I think it's a lot of hard work. I think it's a lot of meetings. I think it's a lot of believing in what you do and showing other people that you believe in what you do, and showing other people that you have a roadmap, that you have traction, that you're making money, and that you can make this into something really big. And you've got to believe it, and you got to know that you can do it, and you got to get out there and tell enough people where somebody's going to say, yeah, I believe it too, and I'm willing to invest money in you. So.
Yeah, I think, I think the point he was trying to make was that if you are a tattoo artist and you're trying to raise money, find someone who was a tattoo artist and inherited $1 million.
Yeah, okay, right.
The point was finding someone who gets what you're doing.
Right.
I think the other thing is know where you're going. In my conversations with Pete and Marcus, their objective is to grow to a $100 million company and at some point exit out in the future, right? And so,
that's right.
So not everybody here is in that same game plan. Not to say you shouldn't be. Maybe you should be. I don't know. But if you're looking for something else, then the idea of finding somebody who gets what you do, is in your realm, or can relate, or has done it, or somehow tertiary involved on the fringe, whatever the right word is, with what you're doing, then you're in a position to get support, whichever path that you're choosing.
I feel like to provide like a different perspective for someone who isn't like looking to exit eventually, it's been helpful for us. Like we're not looking for someone to donate $1 million, like we're not looking for that level of capital. But one thing that has been really helpful has been having banking at a local bank or a small bank at least. I mean, when you talk about banks, like a small bank isn't really that small, but I think it's really important to, even when you don't need capital, like we didn't take our first loan out until we bought a machine, which was a couple of years into our business. But that building that relationship with our bank along the way has led to a lot of good things when it comes to, we have a line of credit now, like just because we need it. And, or really not even because we anticipate needing it. It's just one of those things where we just kind of have it now. If we need to order a product, we have that in our back pocket. But like, because we have such a good relationship with our bank, it was only a phone call. Like I just called and he's like, yep, you can have this much, like, have fun. But I think it's a beneficial for a small business if you're not looking to exit to start building that relationship with your local bank. And I recommend Select. That's who we use, and we have a really good relationship with them. But also having good relationships with people who have done something, like started from the ground and built it up. Like Parker Overton is one of our business mentors, and he's a big reason that we got involved with Select. And he was like instrumental in getting us like even connected with them and getting them to trust us. And he actually he didn't tell me this until later, but provided like a guarantee on our first loan. If we didn't pay it back, he told him that he would cover it. But just having those relationships with people who, like Parker started Overton's like out of the back of a deli shop. So someone else having like you said, someone who understands, and if we're ever having a rainy day, knowing that we have people we can call on to help. But I mean, I think like it's gonna look different depending on what your end game is. Like if you want to sell or if you want to just ride it out.
I think your point about Parker Overton is a great one. You basically found someone who believed in you, which Gary Vee was talking about, and the form it took in his case was maybe guaranteeing this loan or giving the bank comfort that it would get paid back. I think that's what it's all about. Tomorrow, our guest speaker is Mike Amon, who many of you know from his, he was the first PD for ECU, among other other cool things. But he also started a number of businesses from scratch through some really unbelievably bad circumstances and hard work. I think you'll really enjoy what he has to say. But I think Taylor's point that she just made is much in keeping with what Gary Vee was talking about, and finding that kindred soul that believes in what you're doing, in the form that their support might be this way, or it might be a direct investment, or it might be, you know, a referral to a person who could really help your business. The point is, reach out to your network, reach out and communicate your value proposition, what you're trying to do. And particularly old guys like me, and men and women, they're going to be inclined to help you if they can. You know, if you're in a position in life where you don't necessarily have to worry about, you know, your next meal or whatever the right word is, there's a fair number of people out there who will do what they can to help. And it might be in a form that you're not familiar with or hadn't really thought of. So I encourage you all to think of things like Taylor just described. Pete described a different path, a different thing. I have done both over the years. I have 8 startups, 4 of which I funded, you know, kind of self-funded, and 4 with venture capital. And so I have actually been through just about everything you can think of in terms of raising money, including Taylor's example of a real friendly banker who helped me with one of my first deals. And I didn't even know him. He was the banker to several of my clients at that point, and the clients introduced me to him, and he ended up doing a deal that enabled me to buy a minor league baseball team that I wouldn't have been able to buy otherwise. So, you know, there are lots of ways people can help, and whether it's some kind of formal board of advisors or some kind of process you want to try to make formal or manage, or make them a director or whatever, I just encourage that connectivity. The other thing I will say about banks, because I've done it with little small local banks that I've known, and I've worked with big banks, and there's a whole new category of bank you may be familiar with this whole discussion about fintech. Particularly Charlotte happens to be a big place where that kind of stuff is going on. And there are financial institutions that you can deal with that are specifically oriented toward entrepreneurs and startups. I work with a bank called Azlo, A-Z-L-O. They are only online. They're only an app. But boy, are they easy to work with, and they're really, really oriented toward working with online businesses. So they have a lot of really cool features. Aslo.com if you want to check them out. And there are a number of others in that space. But I think it's important to build that team of financial connections, you know, whether it's private, bank, online, all of the above. So, well, that's really all I have today. I don't know if anybody has anything else they want to add. I encourage you to set in tomorrow for Mike Amon. I think he'll be really interesting for you all. Many of you know him, may know his companies that he's done in Greenville. So I encourage you to be part of that if you possibly can. All right.
Dennis, you said you owned a minor league baseball team?
Yeah, I bought the St. Louis Cardinals farm team in St. Petersburg, Florida, and ran spring training for the New York Mets and the St. Louis Cardinals for several years, back in the late 80s, early 90s. And
very cool.
Yeah, and we did that deal. We had 10 people in the deal, and we basically did half cash, half loan, and bought the team in competition with Joe Torre, who was trying to buy it. He had been fired by the Cardinals before going to the Yankees, and he wanted this team, but we were able to buy it, luckily. And it's a story I'll tell you all sometime over a drink. It was a pretty wild time, I have to say. I got the key to the city of Tampa, and other things happened, but that was all made possible because of this banker that, you know, I actually didn't have any of the money together to do the deal as quickly as we needed to do it, and that guy made it happen. So it was funny. He said to me, because the investors were all well-known people in the community, he goes, "Dennis, I'm going to kill you if you default on this loan and I have to chase these multimillionaires for 50 grand. He said, "I really hate your guts if you do that." And I said, "I promise I won't do that to you." So we ended up selling for quite a multiple, and it worked out to be a real good deal for everybody.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, pretty neat.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, thank you all for your time and attention and your input. And I like this where I can see you, so I know what the hell's going on. It makes it better for me. So we're gonna start implementing that, because I think it's better for the speakers too if they can see you. You can mute it, but I think we can see you. It makes a little bit more of a connection. So anyway, thank you all. We'll see you later.
Y'all have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.